Matt Stepp, Dave Campbell's Texas football back here at the Texas High School Coaches Association Convention in beautiful San Antonio. Here with the head coach of the Midland Lee Rebels, Coach Clint Hartman. Coach, thanks for taking a few minutes to chat with us.
I'm glad to be here.
All right, Coach. Obviously, you're kind of in familiar territory here. You've been around. You coached in San Antonio. You've coached in Houston. You're now out in beautiful Midland, leading Midland Lee. Last year, and we're going to look ahead at 2018. We want to look back at 2017 because I saw you guys play in the second round of the playoffs last year against Arlington Lamar. And I don't want to, I don't want to put too much expectations on you, but I feel like last year that game against Lamar kind of was something to show the state that Midland Lee football is back. It was a great win in the second round of the playoffs for you and your program. Looking back on that, just talk about your seniors and kind of what they meant to getting this thing jump-started in Midland Lee.
When we got there, we said, we'd won where we've been. We felt like our process was right. We kept telling our kids that if you'll just trust us and trust the process, there's going to be a team that gets Lee back on the map. We really felt like that. And we said he was probably going to be that year or this year. We kind of could see the future coming. And they bought in. They worked their tails off. And we walk a little taller in the hallways of Lee High School right now. It was down. Usually when you take over a job, there's a reason. And they had lost a little bit of their luster. But Lee football is back, and the pride in the community. The fans were packed again like they used to be back in the heyday when I went and saw them when I was 16 years ago at Odessa High. So it was a fun run, and I got a lot of – I can't thank those seniors enough. That quarterback we had kind of led us and led our team.
Colby Standard, he was a player.
And he was very gritty and tough. And I think that's what our team is. I made a living throwing the football in Houston, Texas. And the first game there at Lee High School, we threw the ball and threw 5 touchdowns. And then as we kind of went into this, we kind of figured out that somehow, some way, we better figure this out, that some way, but 90% of our kids are connected to the oil field, whether it be their mom's there or the engineer or they're a pumper or a driver. They're tough kids by nature. So we found out this year, we had 3 1,000-yard rushers, and we just kind of laid on that toughness and kind of poked and prodded them until we got tougher. And I think that's what we had, a really tough, gritty football team. And in that game, we started off down 0-14. Then we just – and I said – and I remember telling the kids on the sidelines, I said, I guess they're right. We can't go beat nobody in Dallas anymore. And that kind of got them up a little bit, and we got going. But it was a fun night, and that game was big for us to project us into this year, of course.
All right, now talking about that, you mentioned it. The community and the hallways. There's a lot of buzz. Are you feeling that buzz when you're out? Out grocery shopping, and people come up to you, "Hey, coach, looking forward to 2018. We got season tickets now. We're fired up." are you feeling that in town?
Yeah. In Midland, Texas, I can never go anywhere with somebody and say, "Coach, how we going to be?" It's pretty. It's just synonymous with the deal. Everybody cares, which I think is huge for our kids because it's a good pressure from the community. And yes, getting more people in the stands helps us. Home field advantage. And then of course there's a bus. We don't, when you first year we got there, last year there was pressure not to have another bad year like we did the first year we were there, and this year there's pressure to make sure we're not a one-hit wonder. So there's pressure all the time.
And I feel like winning in football just puts the school year off in the right direction. It kind of sets the tone for the year. As a football coach, I'm sure you would agree with that.
I think if you have a bad football season, it can lower the morale and lowers it. And then if you have a great year like we did, I think it really does. I think it projects the other sports. And last year we were very successful in the rest of sports. I think it's a kind of a community thing.
All right, now looking ahead to 2018, first let's talk about your district a little bit. I think this is one of the years Little Southwest Conference is back. It's a really good district. You guys are in the mix. Permian's got a lot back. They've got a lot of buzz right now. Amarillo Tascosa's got that great running back and a good offensive line back. Odessa High, Danny's done a great job there with the Broncos. They should be improved. And Midland High, they got a Division I quarterback over there, and even Friendship should be a lot better. There's no bye weeks in District 2 6A, are there?
No, there's not, and that's the way it should be. I think you're right. There's more players out there that the Division I schools have come out and gotten just by getting one player out there, you've gotten more scouts out there, and we got more players going places. We have Loic Fungi, who's had multiple offers. We have a bunch of other ones. We think Josh has had 1,400-plus yards for 2 years in a row, and he's rushed for 11 yards a carry. So we're going to see how he can handle 25, 30 carries a game. Last year we had 2 backs, so we ran both of them 15 to 18 times. But we're going to let Josh be a senior and lead us that way. But, yeah, there's a buzz. Permian's going to be a good football team. The Mid-Dessa area, that area alone, the 20-mile area, there's good football players. And then THSCA, of course, has the running back that everybody knows about.
Yeah, he's a great player, yeah.
And then Friendship, he was his first year, and I've been there. And so we'll see how they develop as you go. But I think in our league, you better be able to coach because you get your butt look silly on Friday night if you don't know what you're doing.
And Loic in that playoff game, he had a couple of big touchdown receptions that really kind of, I think, springboarded him to a great offseason. And,
Yes.
how has he been? Has he worked hard? And overall, have you been happy with how summer strength and conditioning went?
It's been great. I mean, we've had 500 kids at strength and conditioning. Loic is such a good kid. I don't say this very often. He could date my daughters. Loic is a straight hard worker. The glitz and glamour hasn't bothered him. Some kids, they get those offers and they start worrying about things, and he doesn't do that. He just keeps working. And he's fun to coach because he's such a hard worker. Matter of fact, there's 1 week we played, and he had a pretty good sprain, and I told him to take it easy. And he goes, Coach, I'm not going to miss practice. That's not how I am. And that's not going on like it used to when me and you played, or your mom said, Dad said, you get your butt to practice. It ain't going on like that. And so when you have a really good player that does that, well,
sets a tone for the rest of the kids.
Everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Now, looking ahead to 2018, what kind of team can Rebel fans can expect to see? I know you're breaking in a new quarterback, but I think in the other areas you got some experience back. Is we going to see a similar style of play to 2018?
Yeah, we will.
2017.
2017. Yeah, we will. You're gonna see a gritty, hard-nosed football team the way we coach them. But we also, we have Sheldon Bax, who's a 2-year starter receiver, had 800 yards last year. We got Loic on the other outside. And then we got Logan Acosta that we moved over from corner, and he runs a 4-3. So the 3 skill receivers, and we're in between more of 2-back to 1-back. And so with those 3 in there, plus the 2 backs that we have, we feel really good. And then defensively, we're the biggest and the deepest at D-line I've ever been in my life. We have 4. We went to a 3-4 2 years ago because we didn't have defensive line depth. Now we have plenty of it. And so we have those guys. We have an inside linebacker who's a sophomore, and I think then we have the best safety I've coached since a kid.
You told me about him before the playoff game.
Since a kid, we played at OU, and he's never missed a day. He texted me where I was at today because I wasn't at strength and
conditioning.
Coach,
where are you at?
Yeah, so
he's holding you accountable.
Yeah, he's
right?
holding me accountable. He sure is. So.
All right, now you're away for a good reason. You're at Texas High School Coaches Association convention. Talk about what the organization means. Any advice to a young coach that you would give as far as being involved in THSCA?
I tell you, this is the best and strongest high school coaches organization in the country. Every time we have things that they're trying to take away your athletic peers or things, we bond together and we do. I think the one thing that I'll say to young coaches is when I first started, I've never missed a coaching school since '98. And when I first started, I didn't understand what this organization had done for me before I became a coach. And I think some of our younger millennials don't understand that if we don't take care of this organization, it can go bad. One thing that we were taught as a young coach, and I'll say this out loud, I was taught to wear slacks in a collared shirt because it's a professional organization. We have a lot more shorts around here that I think at our staff and our older coaches now that I feel like I'm becoming a little older, we need to make sure that we show the kids the right way, or show the coaches the right way.
Set the example,
right? Set
the
example the right way. So that's one thing that I would say walking around here I was a little more disappointed in. But I'll tell you this, there's a whole lot of camaraderie. Also, for me, it recharges us. I think it lets my little motor know that it's about to be on.
Yeah.
We're really into this deal. So it's always fun 3 days down here. And my wife's a coach, so she's here, and we get to get away from the kids. And then there's a whole lot of football talked at restaurants.
Oh yeah,
there's
doubt.
a whole lot of napkins being drawn.
A lot of plays. As far UIL made a couple of changes this year with the rules as far as allowing the freshmen, incoming freshmen, because I know you guys did. You guys don't do spring ball. But as far as the freshmen being able to come in, do you feel that's a good rule for the schools that do spring ball?
I asked for that 4 years ago because this last 2 years, our first time we didn't do spring, and I felt like, well, why are we being punished because our 8th graders aren't getting a chance, or let me practice them in the spring? And so I put that to our rules committee about 4 years ago, and when I was in San Antonio, and I think it's a good rule. I think the thing that people don't understand is it's going to now give those coaches that take spring ball the opportunity for 17 varsity coaches to coach freshmen for 1 week.
Yeah.
And that's really a great
huge,
baseline to get those kids prepared for what they're looking for. Because once we split and you don't have as many experienced eyes, it would be a really good thing, I think, for 2 things. Mentor those young coaches that are freshman coaches, and also to get those kids started on the right foundation. It'd be great.
All right, Coach, final question for you. Got the Dick's Sporting Goods wheel of questions here.
Okay.
Got a lot of fun questions on here. I want you to give this bad boy a spin and see where it lands.
All right.
You got to answer it truthfully.
Truthfully, okay. Now what we got here?
And we got, all right, can you tell us about a time that you had either a wild play or a crazy trick play that you called and it actually worked?
Yeah, two things. When I was a young defensive coordinator in Seguin, and we had beat Westlake for a district championship, and we were on a run. I used to say, trick plays can't beat you. And we played Reagan, and they upset us in the playoffs, San Antonio Reagan, and they hit 3 touchdowns on trick plays. So we went back and said, each week we're going to implement one trick play and see how it goes. Well, the first year we were at Clear Springs High School. We played Clear Creek, which was where our kids came from. Mm-hmm. We were not supposed to win. They had guys going to Texas and everything else. So we go there at the end of that game. When it's all said and done, we win that game 20-11. We had 2 fumble recoveries on the 1 and 2. We walked in. But the big play of that deal was a double reverse pass to a quarterback to Philip Miller, and we made 38 yards. Well, why is that important? Because on the night we had 62 yards total offense, and we won that game 20-11. So our most explosive play and only play that worked that night was a trick play. So
there you go.
And then no seniors, we beat them, and at that time when I left, Creek never beat us, and that was big for me. So.
Well, Coach, congrats on all the success last year in 2017. Good luck in 2018. And we appreciate what you do for student athletes in the state of Texas.
Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Coach.